Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Tips and Tricks Tuesday, and as we go through our coloring journey, we have reached the part of the journey where we are going to start in some grayscale. And as I showed you the week before last, the last Tips and Tricks Tuesday video, doing grayscale is fairly simple. We colored this entire lovely little bunny um, just during our coloring segment. And it was fairly simple to layer those colors on and still get those different shadows and different tones. I also colored the squirrel, and I did this squirrel in like 15 minutes. So it's very simple, very quick if you follow the grayscale. There is, of course, several different ways of coloring grayscale. I myself have found that if you color with the layers, you get a better picture. A lot of people do find that it is very simple to color grayscale. Just color the one color or two colors that you want to color and be done with it. And you can definitely do that. All of the grayscale will show through that and give you a very nice picture. I find that it gives you more depth if you add the actual colors for the grayscale itself. Now, the great thing about this book, which is the Adorable Animals Grayscale Coloring Book by Jane Maday, the wonderful thing about this is that she gives you the picture. So she shows you what colors she used while coloring that picture. So, in the shadowed areas here, as you can see them here, they're not just a gray, they're a blue gray. In the ball of yarn, you can see that there's the lighter greens, but there's also some dark greens and even a bit of browns in there. So she actually shows you the colors that she used for the picture to get the degree of grayscale that you have on your paper. And that is the template that we're going to follow, is Jane Maday's coloring. So we're going to try to stay within her color range just so that we can take a look and see how that works out for us. We are going to use the Artilicious Primo Sauce 72 set. It's a gorgeous set of pencils, and I haven't used it a whole lot, so I really wanted to use it. It is a fairly inexpensive set of pencils. When I bought it, it was really inexpensive. Of course, pencil prices have been going up, so it may be more expensive now than it was then. But I will be using these, and they are just an absolutely gorgeous set of pencils. So, all right. So we're going to get started here, and we're going to start on these flowers, and we're going to just do floral things today. We will move on to other things as the lessons go through, but today we're going to work on florals. So I'm going to switch on over to the other camera here. Just going to move you. Oh, well, maybe I won't. Oh dear. Let's see, why is my close-up camera not working? Okay, well, maybe we won't. My close-up camera has decided it doesn't want to work today. So we're going to just bring you in a little bit closer on this one, and hopefully we don't end up making a big old mess of it. Okay, so we're going to concentrate just on this area of flowers here. So let's start with these ones down here, and I'll show you the picture that we're working from. So as you can see, these flowers here are yellows, so let's start with those. So we need, take a look here at the colors that we would need. We would need a chrome yellow, a yellow, and I think mimosa would probably be a good one to work with. So Let's start with the chrome yellow and the yellow, and then mimosa. There we go. Okay, so the Artilicious pencils are a fairly simple pencil. They're a soft core pencil, and I do believe they are a wax base. And of course, they have the color names on them, which is fantastic. They're not numbered, but they do have color names. And they're very dainty in your hand, which is really cool to me. So we're going to start with chrome yellow, which is the darkest of the yellows that we have here. And I'm going to try to do this without getting my hand in your way. I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to do that. So I've sharpened it to a very good tight point. I'm going to see if I can move you around here a little bit more just to get you up and close and personal to those flowers. Now I'm going to close this up so it's out of my way a little bit. Now there's darker areas like this area here that are in the petals. You don't want to do the entire area, just the really dark areas. So if you just follow those really dark areas with your darkest color, and like I said, I could go over this whole petal with just one color and it would still look absolutely wonderful. I find that it gives you a little bit more depth if you do multiple colors. And hopefully, let's see if I can get that to look a little bit better for you. Still looks a little off, so let's get a little bit sharper. There we go. Trying to get you sharper without getting grainy. And okay. So hopefully that's a little bit closer and a little bit brighter for you. Let's do this. There we go. So just going to go through and just make sure that those dark areas are fairly coated with your pencil. Don't go into the white areas or the lighter areas, just the really dark areas. Okay. Now we're going to put this one aside and we're going to take the next one, which is yellow. We're going to give it a sharpen. I'm going to shake you up. There we go. So we've got a good tight sharp on that. And we're going to go in to all the medium areas. So anywhere that it still looks a little gray, but it's not as dark as the rest of it, is where we're going with this yellow. Anywhere that it looks like it's almost white, don't go with this. Go with the darker colors. And I'll do one with just one color so that you can see what I mean by the difference between coloring with multiple colors the way that the artist did, or just coloring one color and using that grayscale to your advantage, which you can definitely do. You know, it's not against the rules. You can definitely do it. I just personally find that you get a little bit more depth in your picture if you use multiple colors and follow the depth that she added when she colored it. Now we're going to use the light yellow, which is Mimosa. So if you're coloring along and using the Artilicious pencils, this is Mimosa. And we're just going to do all those light areas with the Mimosa. Now, when you choose a pencil to do grayscale with, make sure it's a smooth pencil, something that's going to blend together really well, so that you're not having to use a blender pencil. If you do find that you're not getting a good laydown or a good color structure, where there's lots of white spot or paper showing through your color, use a little bit of Vaseline if you're using a wax-based pencil, or a little bit of coconut oil if you're using an oil-based pencil, just to blend that, so that you're not using a blender pencil. A blender pencil does have the tendency to lift the grayscale and turn your coating, especially with light colored pencils, turn your lighter colors really gray. So try not to use a blender pencil for that. Alright, so we've got our light color, we've got our medium and our dark color on here, and it looks very nice. Now we could easily just take this yellow and color the entire thing just one color. I'll color this one, and I'll just do it all one color. And I'm just going over the entire thing, and the reason why I'm doing this is to show you that you could definitely do just one color and it still will show your different grayscale levels. It will give that color a darker color. Now I'm doing this with just straight yellow, and I could have done it with the Mimosa, the lighter yellow. Might have looked a little better. Just make sure that you put in a full coverage. Now, of course, you know, all of these different tips and tricks and things like that are all my own opinion, all my own things that I have learned along the way, and different things that I've picked up on my own and learned through other YouTubers and other things like that. So these are all just my opinions. If you have a better way of doing it, then great. If you are able to learn something from me, even better. But yeah. Okay, so as you can see in the picture, there's not a lot of difference between them. However, I feel this one is a lot flatter than this one. This one has a couple more highlights than this one does. So that's all colored in one color. So let's add a little bit of dark to it, just to add a little bit of depth. so it doesn't look so gray or flat. And I'm just using the darker chrome yellow for these parts. And unlike what I did on this one, I'm going over the entire thing with the chrome yellow, all of the grayscale darker parts, because I've used that yellow everywhere. So in order to make that yellow pop out a little bit, I'm just going to use that darker color just to offset it and let that yellow stand out. Just like that. So as you can see, that darker color gives the grayscale a little bit more depth. It makes it pop out just a touch more. And of course you can use a bit of different pressures and everything else. So if you have like this area here where it's darker in some areas and lighter in others, you can definitely do one color with a darker hand in one area and lighter hands in the other. So we will also show that on this next one, and we'll use the mimosa this time just to give that lighter areas a little bit more of a bit of pop. So this one here we're going to do straight mimosa, and like I said, in the darker areas you can definitely put a little bit more pressure and just lighten up the pressure in those lighter areas. You're not going to get the same coloration with the oranges of the darker yellows just with the mimosa, but you are going to get those lighter tones in the highlight areas. Now the lighter colors are not going to dull down enough of that grayscale to give it that full dimension, I think, in my opinion. Of course, like I said, you can definitely, after I'm done here, you'll see what I mean. Just with this type of flower, sometimes it's looking for that extra color, extra second layer of color. Like I said, in the darker areas I'm going a little bit heavier handed than I am in the lighter areas. Okay, so as you can see, it's got a completely different feel to it when you just use a heavy hand over a light hand. It still looks a little flat, but it still gives a little bit of the dimension. So we're going to take just the straight yellow, and we're going to add a little bit of dimension to it. Now I have colored this with a heavy hand, so I've taken out some of the tooth, so it's not going to get as much of the color as you would think. So be careful if you are going to use multiple colors to make sure that you're not using a heavy hand to cover that grayscale. I am so sorry. Don't realize some days, because they don't give us a schedule. But there are some days where, I get one or two little tiny trains, and then there are some days where I get like great big huge trains that go past, and they're always noisy. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear it. And sometimes I raise my voice trying to talk over them. So if it seems like I'm shouting at you, that's why. I'm not shouting at you. I'm trying to shout over the train. All right. So I've added a bit of dimension to that, a little bit of a darker color to it, just so that you can see that just adding those darker colors gives you the shadows a little bit more than if you weren't to add them. So I'm gonna just add a little bit more here in the darker color. Of course, now my flowers aren't all going to look the same, and it might drive me crazy, but that's okay. It gives me perspective. So now I'm just adding that darker color to it. And this is the chrome yellow. And it's an orangey kind of yellow, as you saw in the first picture, the first flower that we did the multi-layers. So it's going to pick up that really dark grayscale really well and give you a better perspective on where those shadows are. Of course, these are plants, these are flowers, so they're going to have little veins in their petals. So if you see some little veining, just go with the vein and give it that little bit of color there. So we've got two more of these. We've got this one and this one. And as you can see with the different levels, I really want to get my other camera working for you so you can see it a little bit better. Let's see if I can get you a little bit further. I'm pretty sure that's as close as I can get you. Let's see. Yeah, maybe a little bit closer. Trying to keep it so that it's close, but it's not so close that it's out of focus, if you know what I mean. So as you can see with this one here, it has the dimension of the dark, the medium, and the light. This one here, it's of course just the dark and the medium, and it still has the dimension from the grayscale, but it's looking a little bit flatter, as well as this one here is just the light and the medium. I have put a little tiny bit of the dark in there, but because I used such a heavy hand on the light that the page itself isn't going to take any more color. So I was able to get in just enough of the dark to give those shadows a bit more oomph and give it a little bit more dimension. But it doesn't have that realistic same coloration as this one here. Now I can also go further with all of them and add a little bit of orange to them as well and give them that little bit more of the same perspective and the same colorations as the one in Jane's book. Because as you can see here, they've got some oranges, they've got some browns and that sort of thing. We're not going to go to that extent today because, like I said, it is a grayscale. So getting that crispness of color is a little bit more difficult with a grayscale. Now, of course, you can definitely color this with colored pencils, or you can color this with markers, and still get a good level of dimension. The one thing I really enjoy about Jane's books is that they are perforated, so they are easy to come out of the book. And of course, she does give a really good basic tutorial at the start of this book, as well as at the start of one of her other books, which is a line art book. She doesn't do it for all her books, but she did do it for at least the two that I know of. And of course, those were the two that I gave away during our collection or our Tips and Tricks Tuesday a little while ago. So if you are coloring along and whatnot, I'm using the chrome yellow and I'm going over those dark areas with that chrome yellow. And I'm just trying to make sure that I get into all of the darker areas without going into the medium areas. Okay, then we're going to take our yellow and we're going to go into those medium areas. And I'm blending that all together. If you end up in your other areas, don't worry about it. Your lighter colors will blend into it and move it around a bit. Okay, and then we're going to take the mimosa and we're just going to go through and put in that bit of highlight. And there we go. Now we have one more of these yellow flowers to do. And then we'll take a look at it and see where we stand. Now, like I said, it does, take a little bit of time to do things the way I do them. Of course, like I said, you can just color straight, and you're still going to get that shadowing effect and shading effect of the grayscale without any issues whatsoever. I personally feel that it does give you a little bit more depth, a little bit more dimension, and of course gives you all your highlights and everything else in lighter tones than if you were to do it all one color. Unless, and like I said, you can easily do it with this style of just using one color and just going through and adding a little bit more color of just to cover up a little bit of the black. You can definitely do that without any troubles whatsoever. And it'll still look fine. There are some things like some grayscales I will do with markers, and I will just do one color because it's easier, it's quicker, and it still looks great. The one thing that I have figured out with Jane's books is the picture you're looking at on the template, the finished picture, um, has a little bit less or a little bit more of the floral picture. See, it's cut off here, where in the book it's not cut off. So you got to remember it's cut off, so watch where your lines are. So all right, and then we're going to take our yellow. Try not to do what I did over there and cover the other flower's petal. Luckily that's going to be purple, so it might just blend into it. And then we're going to take the mimosa. And hopefully I'm still in frame for you. Now I'm not going to color too much more on this because this camera does not give you guys the best picture. So I'm going to fix that other camera, and we will continue the flowers next Tuesday. And of course, hopefully, and I have missed a petal, and of course hopefully we'll get at least this can of flowers done next week, and we'll be able to show you different floral types as well as leaves, and hopefully get some of the tin can done. I will work a little bit on it just to get it started so that we're not horribly behind on it. Well, I guess we're never behind on it, you know, it goes as it goes, right? I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours on it today. Like I said, my husband is home on vacation, so I have a couple of things that we have planned to do today. I do believe we're supposed to go grocery shopping and a few other things as well. So I did want to show you how to get started with it, as well as you know, the different techniques that are possible or available to you to do different levels of the grayscale. Like I said, it is perfectly fine and perfectly acceptable just to take one color and do the entire flower with just one color. It isn't going to hurt anybody, it isn't going to hurt anything, and it is still going to look great. So, of course, do it the way that you feel comfortable doing it, and it will still look fantastic. So, there's our yellow flowers done, and with that we're going to move on to the purple flowers and the pink flowers. I do believe they're pink, yes, and the other thing of purple flowers there, and of course the leaves. These ones here should be pretty quick, and the leaves will be really quick as well. The tin can might be a little bit longer because there's a couple of different techniques to do with that in order to make that look like it's a metallic object and shiny. So we will work on that as well. All right, guys, of course I am once again using the Artilicious color pencils, the Primo Soft 4mm colored pencils. They do have the color name on them, Artilicious, and they do seem to sharpen very well and hold that point. The book that we are coloring out of course, is the Adorable Animals Grayscale coloring book by Jane Maday. Let's see if I can get her name in there. And she has absolutely fantastic pictures in this book. They are perforated, so they are easily removable. And yeah, they are very, very easy to color. She makes coloring grayscale so simple. So if you do want to try coloring grayscale and get into this sort of thing, of course you can definitely do so by purchasing the book, of course. Now, as you can see in our proper screen size, it gives you a little bit more information on the dimension of the flowers. So as you can see with the light flower, it's not as deeply colored as these other ones. This one here isn't too bad, but the light one here is missing something. And it's probably the darker colors. Because I did color it with a really heavy hand, it still gave it that shadowing effect and that shading effect, but it's still missing that little bit of something. And I might go into it with a little bit of orange just to, if I can get that color in there. The chrome yellows and that sort of thing are a lovely color, but they're not quite orange enough. Even the chrome yellow, which is a light shade of orange, isn't as orange as, let's say, tropical or a tangerine. So of course you could use all of those colors instead of the chrome yellow. I wanted to stick into a yellow base, so of course I can go through if I feel that there's something missing and just add a little touch of this and a little touch of that to make it look absolutely perfect. But we're not going to do that. I think they look fine just the way they are. And we will be moving on and doing some purples as well as some pinks next week. I know this is a little bit shorter than my normal video for Tips and Tricks Tuesday. I hope that I have showed you the basics of how to color a flower. And of course, if you're going to work on this picture as well, please continue. Coloring these flowers is basically the same. You take your lighter purple on the outside, your darker purples on the inside, and if you want to, a touch of blue in the very center. These ones the same, a bright pink, a light pink, and a very, very light pink, almost a white pink for the dark pink on the edges, or pardon me, on the dark areas in the center, the light pink on the edges with a little bit of dark pink in all of those little crevices of and ripples of the petal, and then a really, really light pink on the center. And if you have this set and you're going to use this set, I would suggest probably using really light pink and then going over it with cream. So I think pink, peach puff, and then a cream will look really good. All right, guys, thank you all very much for watching. I hope this was at least helpful. And of course, I will be continuing this picture with you, and we will go through different things of how to color different things in grayscale. The reason why I chose this picture itself is because it shows you different textures, different objects, things like that. Like for example, the tin can, the windows, the terracotta pots, this ceramic jug, the cat, the napkin or blanket or whatever the cat is laying on. All are different textures. Wood. that I wanted to show you in this grayscale part of our 101 videos. So we will continue with this picture throughout this part of our journey. And once we are done with the grayscale, we'll take a look again at coloring skin, coloring hair, that sort of thing in a grayscale as well as a line art type of thing. So we will continue, of course, between the two different types of coloring books that are out there until we come back next Tuesday. If you want to continue, absolutely continue. If you have this book, use your reference page in the back. Use your pictures. Um, if you get confused on where something should be or how something should look, always remember the darkest areas is your darkest color. The lightest area is your lightest color. The medium areas, like that aren't really dark but aren't really light, you use your medium color. So if you're doing something in greens and you have a yellow green, a green, and a dark green, use your dark green in the dark areas, your green in the medium areas, and then just go over it all with your light green, and it will pick up on any of those really light areas. And that's pretty much it. Grayscale, I find, is one of the simplest ways to learn where your shadows are and learn where your shading should be and learn where your texture is coming from and how to put that texture in. If you just follow what the artist has laid out for you, it becomes very simple. And this artist always lays out absolutely perfectly the best way to color, even just straight color, one color and it's done type of thing. It will still give you beautiful results with the way that this artist does her pages. All right, guys, we will continue. We will continue to use the Artilicious pencils in this. And of course, we will be back tomorrow for Work in Progress Wednesday. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be working on, but I will be live tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. And hopefully you can come hang out and join us. I will probably try not to finish this or work on this during Work in Progress Wednesday. I will try to find other things that I have been working on that I haven't finished. Which is lots of things lately. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Of course, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, just hit the subscribe button. And of course, ring the bell. I do put out a video every day, except for Sundays. Sundays I have reserved for special occasions. I am live Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, Saturdays at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. So, of course, I would love for any of you and all of you to join me during those live sessions and sit and color and chat with me and you know, have some fun. Of course, if you want to join us over on Facebook, please do. We do have a Facebook group for the channel, and all you have to do is fill out the application. It's 3 or 4 little questions, and that questionnaire is to protect our members. So if you don't fill out that questionnaire, unfortunately, your application will not be accepted into the Facebook group. So please, please, please make sure that you fill out those questions so that we can get you in. The questionnaire does eliminate the ability for bots, scammers, and things like that to infiltrate our Facebook group, so that people aren't having their pictures stolen or aren't having weird videos shown to them or have weird things happening in the group. So just make sure you fill that out. A bot won't fill that out, so that's why we don't accept anybody that doesn't fill it out, because we don't know if it's a bot or if it's a person trying to scam, that sort of thing. All right, and of course, last but not least whatsoever, oh, I will leave the links to the Artilicious colored pencils as well as the Grayscale coloring book in the description down below the video. Of course, those will be my Amazon affiliate links. So, of course, I will receive a small commission off of any purchases that you make with the affiliate link. Last but not least whatsoever is, of course, remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Do it your way. And, of course, your way is always, always the right way. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. You have a great day and a wonderful week. Bye-bye for now.